So good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible to all.
Yeah,
Thank you, Umeshi, and welcome, sir. Welcome on behalf of our entire team. Thank you for joining. Right. So I welcome you all to this 45th session of Leadership Talk. This is our first session post Diwali. We concluded our first season before Diwali on November 7th, and this is our 45th session. So this is going to be a very special session. We have very eminent, educators with us today as speaker. So I once again welcome you all. And before we formally begin the session, with the introduction of all the speakers, I just would like to share the background of these talks. When the draft document came out a few years back, even then we had gone to different cities. We had taken perspectives from different educators, and collectively we shared hundreds of sessions with the MHRD, CBSE, and other stakeholders. When this final policy came out in the last week of July, then since then we have spoken with hundreds of educators across country, and we have realized that at one side this policy has certainly raised enthusiasm and positivity among all these stakeholders. At the same time, many people are apprehensive about the execution. They have even doubt about the practicality of some part of the policy. Then we realize that we must invite educators, education leaders, different stakeholders, and we must take their perspective. So with that thought, we launch our first session on August 26th, and I'm very proud to share that so far we have successfully conducted 44 sessions, and in these 44 sessions, we have received a huge response, wonderful support across cities. I would share the detail in the introduction. Right. So now please allow me to welcome and introduce our speakers. I would present my screen here, and I would introduce all the speakers. I hope you all can see my screen.
yeah,
Uh, as you all know that these leadership talks are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. Uh, India International Education Council aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It also tries to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. India International Education Council also publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training to leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As I shared in the beginning, that so far we have organized 44 sessions. In these 44 sessions, we have received 4,764 registrations. We have received 4,222 questions from 5 countries: India, US, Qatar, UAE, and Nepal. We have seen participation from 19 states and 74 cities of India. We aim to organize 200 sessions, by the end of February and mid-March. We hope to reach out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 plus institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective. In the end, we would compile all the thoughts and perspectives into a document, and then we would share the document with the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders. Now, I would request please join me in welcoming today's speakers. Our first key speaker for the day, Anita Sharma ma'am. Anita ji is the principal of SD Public School, Delhi. She is a proud recipient of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Award, which is conferred to only one educationist across the country every year. She's a mathematics expert with CBSE, NCERT, CIET, and SERT. She's a curriculum ideator for CBSE International. She has conducted more than 500 training programs in India and abroad for mathematics teachers. We are very honored with your presence, Anita ma'am. Thank you for joining. Our next key speaker for the day, Mr. Amit Ronald Chauhanji. Amit sir is the principal with SR International School, Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. He has an experience of more than 18 years of teaching and administration. He has been associated with a number of renowned schools like Translam Academy, International RED Group of Schools, RPS Group of Schools, which fall under the top 5 schools in southern Haryana, and Mount Little Aziz School, Ghaziabad. He has contributed in a number of CBSE projects. He has been on a number of panels for discussion on topics like new educational policy, relevance of technology in today's education, experiential learning. He's a proud recipient of various awards like Educator of the Year Award. An appreciation letter from MHRD Ministry has been received by him. He has also been a recipient of Principal of the Year Award. We are honored with your presence, Amit sir. Thank you for joining. Our next key speaker for the day, Umesh Arya sir. Umesh ji is the Dean and Chairman with the Faculty of Media Studies in Guru Jambheshwar University, Hisar, Haryana. Professor Arya is a media teacher, a life coach, healer, and a corporate trainer. He has a teaching career of 21 years and has 40 publications in national and international journals. He specializes in Google Power searching and ICT applications in communication studies. He has delivered more than 3,000 lectures and 350 webinars on various topics ranging from technological applications to neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and his PhD findings are published on the website of United Nations Public Administration Network. We are very honored with your presence, Umesh sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Our next key speaker for the day, Dr. Ramendrapati Pandey. Dr. Pandey is the assistant professor with SRM University, Haryana. He was a FAPESP postdoctoral fellow, a very prestigious fellowship of Latin America. He was a research associate at the Transnational Health Science and Technology Institute. He did his doctorate in 2014 from University of Delhi and TACF Tuberculosis Aerosol Challenge Facility at the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, New Delhi. He did his MSc in Biotechnology in 2006 from the School of Biotechnology, Jawaharlal Nehru University. He's an editor. He is on editorial board, with more than 10 journals. Also, editor-in-chief of Indian Journal of Hospital Infection. He has been awarded with the Department of Science and Technology, which falls under the Government of India, as Young Scientist Award. He has also received a senior research fellowship from Indian Council of Medical Research and Indian Immunology Society. He has received awards like Young Scientist Award, European Federation of Immunological Societies Travel Award, British Society of Immunology Travel Award. Thank you for joining, Dr. Pandey. We are honored with your presence. And our last key speaker for the day, Mr. Luke Mazzetto. Luke is the head of quality at Fatado School of Music. Fatado School of Music is India's largest music educator. It is a brand which is synonym to music in our country. It has a 150-year-old rich legacy. FSM is working with 200 plus leading schools of India. It has trained over 1 lakh students. It has many renowned titles like Bandit, which is India's school-level music competition to promote your music talents across all schools. It has titles like Piano Concert, Cadence, Workshops, High Jump Training, FSM Exams, In-Center Recital, FSM Recital. It also enjoys partnerships with renowned institutions like Berklee College of Music and NM School of Performing Arts. Thank you, Luke, for joining. We are honored with your presence. Now,
Thank you, Raj.
time to formally begin the session. You all have received the flow for the session. We would start with the opening remark. So we would request all our key speakers to share their opening remark. So I would request, if they can limit their remark in 1 minute. and then we would come back to them for their main talk on their respective topic for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we have already received many questions. We would present those questions to our speakers for their comments and perspective. And then we'll have a concluding remarks from all our speakers. So we have been joined Anita ma'am. Anita ma'am, welcome and thank you for joining. I would request if we can have your opening remark.
Sure. Thank you, Rajul, for inviting me for this platform and to share my ideas and opinion about the new education policy. I would say that this is a great initiative because in order to implement effectively the new education policy, it is very essential for everybody to understand the policy in the right perspective, and by sharing their opinions at these kind of platforms is definitely going to take a long way. It is going to help everybody to attain the objectives decided by the in the policy, to in fact achieve what our national targets are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita ma'am. We would come back to you for your main talk. Now I would request Umesh sir if we can have your opening remark.
Yeah, actually, thanks for inviting me. And as Anita ma'am, started with the national education policy, so I got something actually different brief, and mine was, what are the new educational practices. So yeah, in that way, new education policy is a step in the right direction, and and in theory it's very good. And let's see how much in the practical sense it is to be adopted by the various state governments. And yeah, if it is accepted in the letter and spirit, then definitely the new goals, and I will be talking more about in my presentation, that old goals, how they also should be met with. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Umesh ji. Now I would request Luke, if we can have your opening remark. Luke, you need to unmute yourself. Luke, are you there? We can.
Yes, no, I'm right here. So sorry.
Yeah. So your opening remark.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can you see me now?
Yeah. We can see you, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for inviting me over here for this talk. Thank you, Rajul, for this amazing platform. From our point of view, especially from the perspective of a co-curricular perspective of education, we are happy and we are looking forward to this policy being implemented, because this gives equal weightage to co-curricular activities as well. So this is definitely a benefit and a boon for students who are not exactly academically, they are not really inclined towards that, but they are more inclined towards the arts and the creative side. So yes, this is what we are thrilled about. And I have a short presentation which I will use later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luke. Our next two speakers, Abhijit and Mr. Dr. Pandey, would be joining us in next few moments. Now, I would request Anita ma'am, if we can have your perspective. Many you represent. You are an institution in you represent the entire community, right? You saw the execution of last policy, saw the challenges which came along the execution of last policy. If we can have your perspective on this policy, ma'am, if you can suggest the roadmap for future. Anita ma'am.
Hanji. Thank you, Rajul. See, as far as I see this education policy, I am very happy about certain things after looking at this education policy. Number one, that this policy has considered all kind of diversities which are existing in our country. uh, Maybe it is in the form of the knowledge landscape or the people landscape, because all sorts of language. Just sorry for some disruption. This policy, it is talking about the diversity, whether it is occurring in terms of the geographical locations, or in terms of the culture, or in terms of the languages, or in terms of the traditions and beliefs followed by the people. So this has taken into consideration everything. So that's a great thing about it. And the second important thing is that it talks about the social justice. A very special place has been given to the inclusion and the equality in education in this policy. And this here this word inclusion has been broadened. Earlier, when we were talking about the inclusive education, we were just used to think about the inclusion of the children with special needs. Now this policy says that inclusion means every child should get opportunity to learn, despite of any kind of discrimination he is facing in the society. So that kind of discrimination shall be removed. Maybe it is based on the gender, maybe it is based on the region, maybe it is based on the religion, maybe it is based on the tribal society or the caste system, or some kind of physical or the mental challenges. So that is another very beautiful aspect about this policy. The third thing which I really appreciate is that it talks about the ethical decision making. That the every child shall be given an exposure of the constitutional values, the civic values, the values which are required to exist in the digital world. So all sorts of social values which are required for the harmonious existence of everybody on this earth. This policy is talking about that. And the another important thing, I don't know how much time I have to speak. Uh, how much time I have? I'm not able to hear you.
You have 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, okay. Another important thing is that this policy wants to promote the students with the innovative ideas, and it wants to promote the creative and the critical thinking about, amongst every citizen. And especially they shall be able to attain the survival skill for their own sustenance. So it talks about the Skill India movement, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and the focus is that along with inculcating the true Indianness spirit in each child, and to nurture true Indian, it also talks about making the India global economic power. So the balance between the modern system and the traditional system, that is again another beautiful aspect of this policy. uh, One another thing which I really liked is, and I feel that all parents will appreciate and all children will also appreciate this, that it is not talking about the report cards. This is talking about the progressive card. And this means that every developmental perspective of the child, in from all angles, be it the social responsibility angle, be it the physical fitness, be it maintaining the emotional balance between the various aspects of life, and between the work and home, between the peers and the teachers. So all sorts of almost 360 degree development it talks about. And this says that every aspect of the human personality shall be addressed through these progressive cards. So it is not the card of only the academic achievement, which is very, very important to learn. Because we often come across the people who are academically might be very meritorious performers, but if they are not able to follow the high moral values, if they are not able to follow the social values, then they ultimately prove to be a havoc for the society. So this I think this aspect is very important. Now, you asked about the challenges. So, I feel the immediate challenge which we are going to face after this implementation of the new education policy, because we all need to change our mindset. It says that till the class 5, every child should get education in his mother tongue or regional language. Now, in few uh, areas, this will be a very good initiative. In few, especially in the urban areas where we are used to the English medium public school culture, how this will be implemented, and the implementation should be in the right spirit and with the right mindset. This is very important to see that how the effective implementation can take place in this particular direction. Then, for the first time, this has been said that in place of the 2 years preparatory stage, which we were used to call as the pre nursery and the pre primary stage, 3 years has been devoted to that. And during these 3 years, the focus should be on the child's communication skills, child's observational skills, the child's physical fitness, the child's how we can satisfy the child's curiosity, or how we can enhance his curiosity to ask questions. So emphasis how we can take care of right kind of nutrition, the right kind of family environment, and the parents' role in the education of the child. So this is a new dimension which has been added in the policy, and here the onus is not only on the schools, the onus on the parents is also being talked about. So some kind of education for the parents will also be required. I think the parents shall be the part of the school, and at least once in a school, once in a week in the school, they shall come, and they shall be able to have good discussions regarding the problems and how to handle those problems. So many types of preparatory arrangements are there in our country. There are lots of varieties in this. Anganwadi schools are there, then ashram shalas are there, and then the play schools are there. So how all these systems, they will be integrated with the main schools, how they will become the integral part of the main schools, and how the continuation in the learning from the how that transition will take place from the this preparatory stage to the next stage, the foundational stage. That smooth transition requires, I think, lots of expertise, and people need to think seriously about this aspect. Um, so uh, then the one thing which I really admire about this policy, because I am a person of mathematics, so I think I am most fascinated by the word mathematical thinking. So how this word can be justified, how it can be integrated in the curriculum. because it is being said that in the preparatory stage, foundational stage, and at the middle stage, the focus shall be on enhancing the mathematical thinking. And when we say mathematical thinking, that means we are not talking only about thinking mathematics. We actually want to address that how a child should think and how he shall be able to handle the problems and find the solutions, because the world will be full of challenges, and all of us, we are aware that how we come across a very strange kind of problem. This COVID was this was an unexpected thing in our lives, but because of some people's vision, those who were able to formulate the technologies in advance, even before this kind of situation came, has prepared all of us to tackle the problem. Um, so this kind of vision need to be created in the children, and then the art of asking the good questions, the questioning as a strategy to learn, and to not only to learn but also to assess and to look into the future shall be used, and how our students can be promoted to ask more and more questions. We all need to train ourselves in this direction. I always quote that when the Nobel laureate, the physicist Richard Feynman, he was asked about his success, the secret of his success. He was used to say that when I was used to come back from my school, my mother never asked me what you have learnt in the school. She was always used to ask me, what question did you ask today in the school? So, this kind of spirit, that the child should be encouraged to ask questions, and every time we shall try to satisfy his curiosity also, is a good thing. And this questioning by the child shall not be taken as an offense, or it shall not be taken as something that we do not know. The child may ask, if we are not answering the child properly, then child may think something negative about us. In fact, uh, even when we are not able to answer the question, there is a scope of learning on part of teacher as well as the student, or part of the adult as well as the child, that there is always something in this world which we need to learn. Nobody can master everything, nobody can know everything, but we shall always be open to learn more and more. So this kind of habit shall be inculcated in the students. Uh, the most essential part, which I would like to give 2 minutes more, that as a educator, uh, we all teachers and the parents also and the other stakeholders too shall promise to ourselves that any child who is coming in our contact shall not feel that nobody is ready to listen to him, and he is not uh, his presence is undesirable in this world. So every child is important, and we shall try to create opportunities for every child to learn, whether the child is belonging to a particular category, or he is belonging to a general category or something. So, no, without any distinction, we must understand that that every child who is on this earth is the most beautiful creation of the God, and it is our prime responsibility, it is our prime duty to nurture that child to his or her optimal strength. So, when we talk about the inclusive education, we shall always try to create the positive environment in the world for every child, uh, positive environment in the school, positive mindset in everybody, in all parents and the classmates and the peers. This kind of an attitudinal change shall be brought in the schools, and every child should feel that his school is the most secure place, the safest place in the world, and it is the most enjoyable part of his life. So every child should love to go to the school, so that kind of environment has to be created. I feel that implementation of policy may have some challenges, but all challenges can be met, and all challenges can be met with a positive mindset. Everybody can start working in this direction, and then I think rest all, as the questions will come, then I would like
Sure,
to answer.
sure. Thank you, ma'am. For sharing your thoughts, and certainly these are very important points. And certainly you are always you always say very empathetically mathematical thinking. Yeah, so this is always is very close to your heart. So thanks again. We'll come back to you with questions. We have received many questions. Now, I would request Umesh sir. Umesh sir, you represent the higher education segment. You have been working with corporates. You have been training students for corporates. So you have seen students who come from school. And in a way they interact with you at college level. So what kind of challenges you find in them, and what are your expectations with this policy, Umesh sir?
Yeah.
Your thought.
Yes. I will not take that much time because I'm not actually an expert on this subject. But yes, yeah, I would like to, uh, share my thoughts. The higher education versus this NEP, right? So, see, some of the things they have rightly been pointed out by Anita ma'am, and if you read this education policy, so see, I'm a fact checker actually. A fact checker who checks the facts every time. I mean, if I read somewhere, I listen to some facts, and I immediately check it, right? So let's be slightly, rationally bullish about the national education policy because it is a policy, right? It is not a law. Hmm? So law is enforceable, and policy is, it is not mandatory, and also it is in the concurrent list of the constitution, meaning thereby uh, it concurrent subject is, as you all know, some of the part comes under center and then rest of it under the states, right? So now different ruling states, they may have their own opinions about it. So this document, it needs to be studied well by them also, and there are many political, socio-political, economic factors are at play while deciding whether to go for this NEP or not, right? But yeah, uh, it's a good step forward, and hypothesizing that it will be applied across India in a uniform way, I find very good points in that. If you read the page number 16 of it, and you will find under section 4.27, 4.26, so it talks about the fun part of it, right? The fun grade. So the student will take a fun course, and that fun is, it means earlier the fun was lacking in the education sector, right? So that this policy aims to correct that, and it is across the board in schools also, and more so in the higher education institutes because they are not associated with the fun, right? Uh, Typically in the schools also, out of the competition or out of the new teaching methods, even without any people, teachers in the schools, they are going for the fun activities like audiovisual learning and so many things and group activities. But you will find that these things are quite unheard of in the university and college systems. So it's good that it has been included in the document, and let's see how much it will be implemented by the participating institutions. Then I find one very good para on knowledge of India. Right, this para is 4.27 on page number 16, and it is the thing which attracted my attention the most, and it is especially related to the higher institutions, wherever says that students will be taught astronomy, philosophy, yoga, architecture, ethnomedicinal practices, forest management techniques, and most importantly, the Indian knowledge systems. And what comes under Indian knowledge systems? And all kind of traditional knowledge like seva, ahimsa, swachhta, satyata, nishkam karma, and all that, right? So it's very heartening to find these kind of words in the policy, at least, right? So we don't know how much it will translate into reality, but at least when something comes at the policy level, then it's a roadmap for the people to follow. Now, see, up till now, education used to perceive the child as a passive learner and the teacher as the person who knows all, right? Teacher is just like a sage on the stage. So this is a very famous idiom, but it's not relevant anymore. Teacher is not a sage, but the participants with the students in the uh, sorry in the learning activity. So yeah, yes, sorry about that. So learning activities, as far as ancient knowledge is concerned, and like stress, anxiety, and these kind of issues are concerned, up till now the education was not having any policy standards on that. But I'm very happy to read the draft. Actually, on 16th to 18th pages, there are quite a few mentions about these things. That if you want to progress in life, then we have to look inwards, and other uh, knowledge points will have to be inculcated by the students for a holistic approach. And when I joined for this workshop, then I was given the mandate of new education practices to be followed by the students, and I planned something else actually, but it's okay. And the most important
Okay,
is
do
that
not,
the
you
basic.
can share those thoughts. So you can
Yeah,
share
I'll,
those
I'll take
thoughts.
I'll take just two
That's
three
very
minutes
well.
because I'll be well within the time. Yeah. So, uh, well, when I was looking at the draft, so all of the things which I'm going to present now, they have already been inculcated either directly or indirectly. Like there's a very profound uh, difference in the way the syllabus teaches us certain things and the way the things really are. Like if you talk about universe, right? So universe is an empty space, and it is empty space is much bigger than the matter, right? Okay. But the reality is that our physics books, they have long been projecting the empty space as a true empty, and there's nothing in that space according to the Michelson-Morley experiments in 1887. But after that, exactly 100 years after that, Michelson-Morley experiment was proven wrong by some experiments. But if you see the 10th class or 11th class uh, physics books, then Michelson-Morley experiment, it has been taught in the same way even after these 140 that years. So syllabuses, textbooks, they are very hard to change, and so as the thinking of the teachers actually, because everybody is used to read the dotted lines, and now the thinking is that this space is not the inert space, it is bubbling with energy, and this space is having the electromagnetic field, and every atom's proton inside a single proton is having the reflection of entire universe. You can now imagine the amount of energy and other things. So the thing is, if some education takes you away from the basic goal of human connectedness and our interaction with the space and the energy and the time, so that may not be a good education, which was up till now accepted fact, right? But if you see the latest documentaries, latest research in the research publications around the world, that research is hardly translating into the actual school textbooks syllabus, right? And people are happy reading the old stuff and teaching the same. But things are really different, and reality is something different. Unless we uh, teach the students the holistic way, like we have a integral association with the space and we are a part of it, and all the we are influencing the space and vice versa. So these kind of when stuff is included in the syllabus, then I think the education can be a good holy and teaching and 360-degree process. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, uh, Umesh sir, for sharing your thoughts, sir. Now, I would request we have Luke with us. Luke, if we can have your thoughts, sir.
Yes, hi Rajan. Uh, Thank you for this. And for everybody else, my name is Luke Macedo, and I represent Furtado School of Music. Furtado School of Music is basically one of the leading educators when it comes to music education in the country, at least. So, our perspective, my perspective over here for the NEP is more towards the co-curricular and vocational side of the new education policy, and we are actually happy because it has given this particular field its due credit and its due importance. So how it's going to be implemented and how it's going to shape up while while this comes out, and while the guidelines and the rules are shared with all the schools, that is yet to be seen. However, the intention and in theory, it works very well. So we are happy with that. Just to share one quote with you, musical training is a more potent instrument than any other because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul on which they are mightily fastened, imparting grace. And so this is a very integral part for us. And like I had mentioned earlier, I'll just share my screen over here so that we're able to connect to what I am actually saying over here. Just one moment. Okay. Yes, I hope everybody can see the screen over here. So this is basically, I'm referring to Furtado School of Music, and what I'm referring over here is why I want to bring this up is because we have a collaboration with a huge number of schools in the country, almost 200 plus, and almost 50 to 60,000 students. And we want to ensure that what we're actually doing is making sense. There is some value to what we are doing, because we have understood that whenever parents think of good things in life that their children want to experience in school, they include music, art, and sports. So when we impart this program to schools, and we try to see okay, the school has actually taken the program and they have implemented it, and now the child is going ahead and attending the class and learning whatever they are learning. It's important to us for us to get that feedback from the school. Is that small little class, that music class which the student is attending, at the end of the day, is it making any difference to that student's life? And not only for the ones who are not inclined towards music or inclined towards music, but for the entire class, all 30 students, all 40 students who are attending, or they are learning their respective keyboards, or they're learning how to sing English songs or Hindi songs or any regional songs, whatever is being taught at that point. It's important for us to understand, is that making any difference to that child? And what is actually the value of music to that individual who has been attending that class? Is it really taking away? Is it making the student more happier? And besides, of course, sports is also there, arts is also there. So are all these factors making the child's life a lot easier and making the child more interested in attending school the next day? Is the student actually saying, yes, I have something to look forward to next week, because maybe I have to perform something in front of a class, maybe I have to play a particular sport somewhere, with a particular team and score a goal, whatever it is. But our aim over here is to try and ensure that a student is not bogged down with the pressure of having to put up a performance. Like a student really, it's a very brave, it's a very courageous thing for a student to stand in front of everybody during an assembly, for example, and play a small piece of music on a keyboard which he or she has been learning. So we want to strive to ensure that the student gains that little bit of self-confidence to go on stage and to just perform what they can do, perform what they are comfortable with. And we really want to build that self-confidence within them and ensure that, yes, the students are benefiting from these programs. As you can see, there are quite a large number of students that are already learning from us. And these are just a few of the schools that that have been partnering with us over the last few years. And when it comes to giving a student an opportunity to, let's say they have been learning music for the entire year, and now they need a source to uh, show to everybody that, yes, I have been learning this. I want to show everybody what I have been learning. It's a proud moment for a student to do that. So that is where we have come into place, and we form these little festivals. The Bandit Festival is actually the largest inter-school music festival in the country, and a lot of entries come in from a lot of teachers, students, principals, schools, leaders, in order to have their students be a part of a much larger stage. So it's very similar. We have quite a few festivals over here just to ensure that a student who is learning in a school, let's say in a rural area in Karnataka, is at the same level as a posh urban school in say Mumbai. So here is where we try to connect. We go beyond the regional boundaries of that student, and we actually look at the skill that and the zeal that the student is actually putting in, rather than any other factor. We're actually looking at the zeal and the interest that that student has, and it doesn't matter what background they are from. They are all at the same platform when it comes to. So, for example, last year, one of the 10 finalists was one person from Delhi, from a very posh school, and the other was from a very rural background school in Andhra Pradesh. So, I mean, these are the kind of examples, these are the kind of moments that we're actually proud of. We want to go ahead and we want to show them that, yes, this is what this is what students are actually getting when it comes to the co-curricular. And the new policy, it definitely boosts, it gives us a booster shot, especially the co-curricular, experts in co-curricular activities. It gives them that booster shot because now it shows that, okay, the government is also serious about this. They are not looking at, for some, music is just entertainment. For some, it is okay. It's something that can be good in worship. For some, they kind of promote patriotism through it. But for a lot of people, it is for a lot of students, big people also. It actually helps them establish their identity, and music can really help build a student social relationship. Not only a student, even a person it helps build their social relationship, and it's a great means of expression, of course, as we all know. So, uh, so basically, we try our best to ensure that yes, we are doing our bit for all those students who are creatively good, and we don't want students to come back. We don't want feedback later on saying that, you know what, it. So this is a very real problem that we have in the creative sphere at this point, because the creative arts are introduced in a more serious manner in international countries. Those students are at a higher level when it comes to skill development and performance compared to India, compared to our country. And it is not because the creative arts are not introduced in time. It is introduced in time, but it is not introduced in the manner and the attitude that it is supposed to be introduced in. It is looked at more as an entertainment, but it kind of backfires later on. It backfires later on when the student, after crossing 10th and 11th, they want to take it up as a serious career and they are lost. So that's when they start. That's when, you know, that whole tension and stress comes out. Okay, what do I do now? This is not working. Should I go into commerce? Oh, but what if I go into commerce? I'm not really inclined towards it. I get bored with numbers, or the technical aspect of things. So as the largest music educator in the country, we try to ensure that we have a lot of people. We collaborate with a lot of pedagogists, a lot of successful people and musicians in the country who have actually become successful, and we try to share and get their secrets, their experiences, and we try to build on it and make sure that we have a rock solid path for anyone who wants to learn music from us. So I'll just show you, for example, this is basically we just us going online. I'll show you our, yeah, so these are a few awards that we have received for our music curriculum, because it is so sturdy, because it is so stable and holistic. We have received quite a few awards for this, for the curriculum from various agencies, education agencies, because they have recognized that yes, this is, we have been putting in so much of research, and there's such a big think tank behind this subject, behind the creative arts subject. So in those terms, which is why even Berklee College of Music, so Berklee College of Music is the largest music institute in contemporary music in the world. I mean, to get into Berklee College, you have to go, a student has to go undergo a very rigorous auditioning and selection process, after which getting into the college itself is mind-boggling. It's a bomb to just pay the fees. I mean, a year's fees goes up to almost a crore to get into Berklee College of Music. So, a college like Berklee College of Music has basically recognized that, okay, here is this institute and here's this organization that is really taking things seriously. So they have partnered with us, and we are, and they are working on things. They are working out how to get a robust pathway and a robust career for students who opt for this. And finally, I just want to show you, this is basically a typical keyboard setup in a school. So let's say we get into a partnership with a school. This is what the setup looks like. We give our own teachers, we establish the entire instrument setup, be it keyboard, drums, guitars, anything, vocals, Western or Indian, everything is included in that one cost that is discussed at the outset of the program. And the teachers also trained. We provide teachers. I myself, undergo almost 60 days of training in a year, in a normal academic year, to ensure that the curriculum is executed well. So all of us basically are, all on the same group. They're all on the same level. So whether I am sitting in Karnataka or somebody else is sitting in Shillong or somebody else is sitting in Rajasthan, we are all connected because we have all done the same sort of a training. So which is why it's kind of important for all of us, because this new NEP is really helpful, and we really are looking forward to what uh, the benefits and the boons that this new education policy is bringing across. And just to conclude, I would uh, urge all our leaders and principals over here to please, uh, go ahead with this and just let us know what it needs to you do. Thank you very much, Raju. Thank you, everybody else.
Thank you, Luke. Now we have been joined by Dr. Pandey. Dr. Pandey is the assistant professor with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Pandey, as I read in the introduction, worked with many prestigious institutions in different countries. So, welcome, Dr. Pandey. I would request if we can have your perspective.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your nice introduction. Sorry for joining in the late. Actually, regarding this new education policy, we have been discussing since a long time. But altogether, according to my view, is that because this is just initial skeleton by Government of India, and according to the plan of Government of India, it is going to be implement in 2020, but to have all the perspective, all the point, and it will take a long time. This is just very initial point. So I am hopeful that our country will be able to do, but there are many challenges because in the last time also I told that India is a country of villages, and how to bring this education system to at the school level, to the teacher level, at the rural area, because they still don't know what is this new policy. And we are still facing many problems related to the infrastructure of school, the rules and regulation. But it is challenging, but I am hopeful that this is going to bring a new dimension of the country, because this new policy that is going to implement in the country is after 34 years. So we are hopeful that new thing will come. This is my perspective.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. And before I begin the question, I start presenting questions to speakers. I must welcome few eminent, educators we have in today's session. We have Philip sir, who is the principal with the Holy Angel School, Rajpura. Welcome, Philip sir, for joining. And we also have many other, eminent educators. We have Aruna Shivrajji. She's the head of school, Himalaya Public Senior Secondary School, Delhi. Welcome, Arunaji. Right. And before I start presenting questions, I'll take a minute in introducing and sharing the work which is being done by School Lalaji Solutions. So I'll screen here. Right, so many of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are currently, present in 42 cities, working with somewhere around 4,500 institutions. We primarily help educational institutions in three different ways. We help institutions in buying the right thing from right people, with right kind of credibility and tried and tested reputation. We also help institutions in selling their old items like their buses, their furniture, their generators. You know, we also help institutions in raising money, in different ways, maybe loans or in terms of fee financing or some other ways. Why any educational institution need a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? In India, in last 10, 15 years, thousands of unique products and services have come up by many startups in education. Many new companies have come up in education. All, all these companies face one big challenge. It's how to, how to demonstrate or how to present their services and products to educational institution, to the leaders, to principals and directors of educational institutions. In fact, you all have your team which has expertise. When we go to school, we get these kind of responses. Our team is getting already a good discount. We have a chain of old suppliers. They are giving us a good discount, good thing. These all points are very valid. But when we negotiate for your school, so we negotiate on behalf of 4,000 plus schools. So we get that bulk discount. And also when we support our partner companies, so we get them we get them a lead without even spending money on marketing and other parts. So we try to pass that particular discount to you. We are present in different categories. We help institutions in smart class procurement, uniform, insurance. We supply deliver diesel to school's doorstep at 0 rupee transportation cost and 75 paisa cheaper per liter than the market price. We also install solar plants, language labs, security solutions, furniture, recruitment support, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, career counseling, STEAM, STEM labs, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee. You may have a 10-year-old supplier or 20-year-old supplier. You may have a you know, but we take the guarantee that we'll save at least your 5 to 7% of total expenditure. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees in bus insurance category only in 2019. These are some major highlights: 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 bus training program, 56 old buses we sold from one school to another, uniforming 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 3,000 institutions. So we need your support, guidance and blessings. Thank you. Now, time for the questions. I would request our speakers to share their thoughts and perspective on these questions. Uh, uh, I would request Anita ma'am, we can begin with you.
Yes, you can start.
Right. So, ma'am, this is the first question. This question is from Mr. E.K. Varghese. He's a supervisor
Mhm.
head with AGDAV Public School. Mr. Varghese has asked, is it possible to absorb dropouts? As this new education policy proposes, because the dropouts they are in crores. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Actually, if you see this policy carefully, this policy is talking about the alternative schooling systems. And with the alternative schooling systems, they actually want to achieve universalization of education. And it is planned that by 2030, nobody shall be outside the school. So we have already set the objective, this target for bringing every child back to the school. The school may be formal school, the school may not be the formal school, this may be the distance learning school, this may be in some other form. Government has given full scope. The policy has given full scope for having the public-private philanthropic partnership, and through that partnership, lots of, I think, new models for schooling are going to come in the coming days, so that all children shall get the exposure to the minimum literacy level which needs to be attained, and how they can um, how they can learn. So I have full faith in that, and I do believe that it would be made possible.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would request Umesh sir, if you can take on this question. This has been asked by Mr. Rakesh Prasad. He's a PGT account with the CSKM Public School. Rakesh ji has asked how NEP or how with the help of NEP we can achieve holistic, inclusive, and engaging learning for our students. Umesh sir, sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So let me tell you very clearly, for classroom engagement and making the learning activity a fun, NEP was not really required, right? But since these fun-laden activities and enjoyment things, they were only limited to the public schools up till now, right? So now the policy has mandated that, okay, fine, it must be applied on every school at large, right? So that's the key. And regarding your question that how it can be applied, so uh, my experience is that when something comes at the policy level and when becomes the agenda of the talk, then people start thinking over that. uh, every person, you leave aside the teachers, every person has the belief that the education should be a fun, it should not be torture, or it should not be a simple learning activity. So everybody knows that, but nobody follows the procedure. So when something is mandated, then it will be, will be talk of the town, and people will realize, and somehow they will make some start, and the things will, improve with the time. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. I would request Dr. Pandey if you can take on this question.
Yeah, please.
This question has been asked by Miss Padmini Abrol. Padmini ji is a PRT with SD Public School, Pitampura. Padmini ji has asked if there is a teaching medium in Hindi. So, do you think it would be Hindi in all subjects? Do you think it would be possible for public schools to follow that?
Yeah,
Teaching in Hindi.
yeah, it's a really good question. And yeah, okay, so my answer is that regarding the Hindi language, like because English is our something like not this is our second language. Hindi is our national language. The thing is that if you see our country when we have the freedom in 1947, so what we have adopted from the British people is the English. And we have been continuing talking, writing in English. But till now, what is happening in right now in this scenario, we are neither, many people are neither expert in English and we are forgetting the Hindi. Okay. Even if you ask to some of the people that if you can write one page Hindi, it's very difficult. One example that I want to bring here is that, like many countries like Japan, Taiwan, and China, they have inbuilt the schooling in their own language. Okay, like Japan is a very small country. Even it is smaller than the UP, Uttar Pradesh, that is one of the state of India. And the way that Japan has been developed, it is not less than any country, even the United States. But if you go there, they talk there in the native language, in the Japanese. Okay? In China, the people talk in their own language. Like if you go to the China, even at the PhD level, when they are doing the research, they don't know he and she. Okay, he sometimes they say he to she to he, but they are doing great job in the science, in the research, in the technical ability. Country like India, where we have more than 100 languages, okay, so much diversified thing. Even for a public school, like if you can see in a school, the children are coming from different part of the India, east to west, south to north, from different language. So now again, this is a question that if we are going to implement only the Hindi language, what will happen that if some student is coming from the south? What will happen if some student is coming from the eastern part or western part? So altogether, this is a very difficult question and challenging for the India to bring one language. But for my perspective is that because if we really need to compete of the global competition, the because we need to follow like what language that is the English, because all good books are in the English, all the communication good in the English. So if we are just following that language, then we will be able to have the global competition. Because right now there is no identity of a nation because we exist in this time with a global time. Because there is no difference between this country to that country. Because due to COVID-19, we are sitting at the home. But at the global level, I will say my answer will be that Hindi, of course, it will come, then I will love to be the Hindi, but it's very difficult to implement in the public school.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I would request Luke if you can take on this question. This is again a very regular question, and this is about the art evolution. How do you see the evolution and importance of arts in coming time with the implementation of this NEP, Luke?
Yes. The evolution of art. So over the last few years, definitely people who have been excelling and who are experts in art will definitely continue to do the same thing. That will not change. People will still continue to do research, which is great. They will still study, and the people who are anyway inclined towards a more artistic, creative approach will will obviously, go towards that sector. But how this changes is because what will happen is now, because the education sector is getting a boost from the government itself, saying that art is important. This will make uh, people. This will probably make uh, corporates or philanthropies or companies who are investing into schools a little more courageous to invest in a subject such as music, arts, or even a person who is going ahead and doing this. Because now that they feel that, okay, the government itself is taking this seriously, the sponsorships will increase, the financial backing towards this line will definitely increase as well, and there will definitely be more positive outgrowth in terms of more higher paying jobs for people who are choosing this line, as well as not only higher paying jobs but more stable, robust jobs. Because the art field is always looked at as a field which has variable income. But the NEP, as well as a lot of research that people have been doing over the last few years, is slowly going to change that, where people choosing the art field, they are going to have a lot. They're going to have a more fixed income ratio, and a higher income ratio as well in the years to come. So it's, of course, the variable component is always going to be there for the creative arts, but we are also looking at a more fixed also coming into play. So this is definitely how it's going to shape up for the arts field in years to come.
Thank you. Anita ma'am, I would request if you can take on this one. This has been
Yeah.
asked by Miss Sangeet Raj. She's the principal with St. Xavier School, Bhiwadi. Sangeet ji has asked, will the online classes and digital education curtail the tuition culture?
uh, I think the tuition culture is still prevailing, because many of the coaching institutes, they have also started their online classes and the students are taking those classes seriously. So I can
Your voice is not coming, Anita ma'am. Your voice is not coming, ma'am. Your voice is not coming. I would request if you can, ma'am, if you can log out and log in again. Meanwhile, I would request Umesh sir if you can take on this another question.
Yeah.
This question has been asked by Mr. Inder Kumar Mangla. He's the state officer with SDP school. Mr. Mangla has asked, you know, what do you propose as an ideal teacher-student ratio? And if you look at from the perspective of NEP, so what would be the ideal student-teacher ratio classrooms?
Okay. So if you look at the example of the developed countries, so they have the fairly good, rather, I think I should say 15 or 20 is the teacher to student ratio. Uh, 15 to 1, it's a, yeah, student to teacher ratio. So, but you see, in India, the population is the main thing, and we all know the things, like, uh, and you are well aware the local about the local conditions. So even at higher education level, if you see the accrediting agencies like NAC and Ministry of Education's local ratings, they give higher rating to the institutions who are having the good student teacher ratio. So yeah, if you watch out evening NDTV of Ravish Kumar, then the situation is something else, where the teachers, they have been not been appointed despite issuing them the selection letter. They have not been trained and so many things. So what to comment on that? The policy should always, uh, there should be a friendship between the policy and the implementation, right? So all these developed countries, they have developed only because of this. that there is no difference or very little difference between the policy and the actual implementation, which is in India actually is not the case. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Umesh sir. I would request Dr. Pandey if you can take on this question. Anita ma'am also raised this point that more support from parents is needed. When if for the effective execution of change. So this question has come from Miss Deepika. Miss Deepika, she's the headmistress with the CS KM Public School. Deepika ji has asked, beside school, how to garner parental awareness in support of different initiatives. How do you propose
Yes.
that? What do you propose, sir?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, yeah, so regarding this, what I say that because initially in before we have one subject that is called the civics. In civics, we used to study the civilization, and civilization there is a content that we study, and we used to say that the parents are the like a first teacher of any like a son and daughter. Okay, so what happened that if you can see even in country like India, okay, and if you see the success rate like UPSC or the IIT or the medical, if you can see even in this time the success rate for a student who are coming from the rural area, and the numbers are more. Okay. The reason is that because there are many things, because if you see in the school and if you see at the home, mostly the students have more time of the interaction with the parents comparison to the teacher. And the second thing, what the parents, like suppose the parents are very busy, they are doing here and there and they are not giving proper time to the children. Altogether, according to my experience, the children suffer, and whatever that we have a dream about that children, we exactly don't get. So all because whatever the education, if the parent can give at the high intense at the home, that really matter. So for me, I will only give this answer is that the parent really need to take care the children at the home first. The school is the secondary place where we get the education.
Right. Thank you. I believe Anita ma'am has joined us back. Anita ma'am, are you there? Uh, yeah.
Yes, Rajul, yes. Mm.
So this would be the last question for the day, and then we would start the concluding part. Anita ma'am, the question has been asked from Neelam Gandhi ji. Neelam Gandhi ji is the director with Tagore Public School, Palwal, Faridabad. So
Okay.
Neelam ma'am has asked, how are we going to adjust so many practical and co-curricular activity period in the timetable with the implementation of NEP?
It's a good question. Lots of practical problems has to be sorted out by the schools, and I think now the schools need to be more collaborative in their approach. If the schools will not be this kind of culture will not be able to it will not be easy to adapt. So lots of co-curricular activities are identified, but for that the new kind of frames to be I think they need to be designed, and lots of brainstorming is going on at the part of the NCRT and the Education Ministry about this. So I will not be saying much about it, but I think now if the schools have any ideas, if they then they shall share these ideas amongst the other schools and maybe with the different departments also.
Right. So thank you, Anita ma'am. Now time to conclude. So before I request our speakers for their concluding remarks, I must thank again to all the speakers and participants for joining and making this 45th session, a very special one. So, first of all, a big thank you, Anita ma'am. Anita ma'am, you talked about the NEP, which is highlighting the social justice part. You talked about the inclusive education. You talked about, mathematical thinking. You talked about, many of the areas where this NEP has focused primarily. And you also said that asking questions to learn kind of approach needs to be encouraged, and every child is special, and that uniqueness must to be encouraged and appreciated. So thank you, Anita ma'am. I would come back to you for your concluding remark. And then Umesh Arya sir, you talked about, you said that the policy is good, but it seems it is good in theory, but a lot of challenges would be there while implementing. And you talked about holistic way of learning. You talked about integrative approach and 360-degree development for students. Thank you, Meji. We would come back to you. Dr. Pandey, though you join us bit late, but you covered well, sir. You talked about the how crucial is the support from parents. How crucial is that kind of joy, joyful learning. We need to create that kind of environment so that students can learn, and mother tongue has a special role. And then Luke talked about the importance of music and how it can increase their efficiency. So thanks again to all of you. I once again thank all the participants for joining. Now I would request Anita ma'am, we can have your concluding remark. Anita ma'am.
Yes, Rajul, I will suggest all our audience that as a first step in the effective implementation of the policy, we all must read each and every word of the policy, and then we try to see what is our role in this, or at whatever we are placed, we are dealing with the children in this education system, how we can identify our role in its effective implementation. So try to understand policy in reference to your own role and define your own role yourself. Only then whatever we want to achieve from this policy can be achieved.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. We must, learn about those things. Thank you, Anita ma'am. And big thanks. Now I would request Umesh sir, if we can have your concluding remark. Umesh sir.
Yeah, actually, I'm not listening to your voice properly. It's breaking actually. Is it for you,
Can,
Ramendra? हाँ? आपको
no,
भी ऐसे
can
लग
we
रहा
have
है?
your
हाँ?
concluding? Can we have
Yeah,
concluding remarks, Umesh sir?
now,
Okay, right. So, yes, conclusion is very simple. Like as mentioned in on the page number 16, 4.28 section,
mhm.
that we should do what is right. We should means the students should do learn and do what is right. So, the fake news and the misinformation is so rampant these days, and people are teaching something and ultimately turns out to be fake. Students are learning the misinformation. They are, explaining it in the discussions and interview boards, and uh, they are becoming laughing stock. So every principal, every teacher, it's my request that please go through a fact checking or misinformation busting workshop, which is conducted by uh, Fact Shala, and I'm the part of it that also. So it is 1.5 hours workshop, and every person, who is above the age of 18, uh, and especially schools and